Yo, 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 what's cracking, everybody? So in this video, I'm going to be talking about how to record your guitar directly into FL Studio. And this is for if you have an audio interface. If you don't have an audio interface, there are other ways of recording guitar into FL Studio, but I'll be making a separate video on how to do that with like a USB mic, for example. This video is only going to focus on if you already have an audio interface. So as you can see, I have this little beat loaded up, and I'm just going to let a couple bars of the beat play real quick so you can get a feel for how it sounds before we start talking about adding the melody. So you can see we got a bit of a lo-fi thing going on. You know, it's not my usual style, but I've been making a lot of lo-fi recently just so I can have some background music for these videos. Anyways, though, now I'm going to cut to my phone camera, so apologies if the audio quality gets really bad, but I'm going to just show you on my phone how I set up the audio interface so that way everything is ready to be recorded. Alright, so here's the phone recording view of my desk and my little setup that I got going on here. So you can see right here, I have this Behringer UM2 audio interface. It's really nothing crazy. It's like 40 bucks on Amazon. And essentially how it works is you just plug the USB into the computer like this. Now, once it's plugged in, you can see that this little light right here turns on. Essentially what you have is you have this XLR line, and then this is also a guitar line. So you could plug a guitar cable into this or an XLR cable for a dynamic microphone. You also have this one, but this one you only use if you're monitoring. So you would plug in your guitar to this one if you want to just put your headphones in and listen to the guitar without making any noise like through an amplifier. However, we don't want to be monitoring, we want to be recording. So you would just plug it right into there. So as you can see, I have this sexy Strat over here. So I'm gonna grab this cable and I'm gonna plug it right into the interface. So you want to make sure that your gain is up high, the mic line gain specifically, because a big mistake I made when I first started trying to record with this audio interface was that my gain was too low. So when it would go into FL Studio and I would try to boost up the volume, it would be all static and it was terrible. You also want to up the output knob a little bit too. Doesn't have to be anything crazy because you're going to boost the audio inside of FL Studio once it gets recorded anyways to your liking. So, you know, you can fit it into the mix and all that. But you just want sound to be going through this and into the computer. All right, so now that we got all of this set up, I'm gonna jump back into the FL Studio webcam view and show you guys how to actually prepare to record. All right, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that little bit on the phone showing you how to actually set up the audio interface. Hopefully the audio quality wasn't too bad. Either way though, you can see I got my guitar with me and I'm ready to start recording some stuff. So how we actually do that now that everything's set up is we go into the mixer track. You wanna go to the next available track and you're gonna have to select this to record. So how you do that is you go up here to the options tab, you go down to audio settings, and now right here in the input output, right now it's in my headphones. So that way when I play the beat, it's gonna be coming through my headphones. Essentially you wanna set it to one of these down here, Audio devices. It'll probably either be Audio for all or FL Studio Audio for you. However, for me, because I use a Behringer UM2, I actually went out of my way to download Behringer drivers, so that way the recording process is a bit more smooth. So I have this option for Behringer USB audio, so that's the one that I'm gonna click. However, if you don't have that, Audio for all or FL Studio Audio should work just fine, and it's just up to you experimenting with both to figure out which one you like better. Alright, so now that I selected my Behringer USB drivers, you can see that this box over here got ungrayed. So you want to select this, and you can really pick any of these, but the main thing is you want this little symbol to turn yellow. So let's say I pick input 1. Boom, the symbol turned yellow, that means it's ready to record. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my cursor over here, and the section that I want to record the guitar in is this little bridge segment. So I'm gonna start one bar before that bridge segment just so I have a little bit of time to get ready to start playing the guitar. Now, unfortunately, because up here in the audio settings, I have this selected to Behringer USB audio, I'm not gonna be able to actually hear the beat through my headphones. Or if I do, there's gonna be this weird delay on it where it's like coming through the headphones after it's actually being played, and it's really difficult. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my phone. I'm going to set up a metronome and put my earbuds in, so that way I play in time. I just have this free metronome app. It's a metronome and a guitar tuner all in one. So I'm just gonna set the tempo to 76 BPM. So I got the metronome going, and I'm gonna come up here and hit the record button. Now, if this is your first time hitting the record button, you're gonna get an options menu. You wanna select the option, record into playlist as audio clip. For me, I just selected do not show again. So now whenever I hit it, it always records into playlist as an audio clip. What that's going to do is stop it from doing something weird like recording into Edison or recording into MIDI. If that's what you want, then cool, you can do that. But I'm showing you how to record it into an audio clip, so that way it's generated as a WAV file inside of the playlist view. Alright, so you can see the camera is now set up, so that way you can see the guitar playing as it's happening. I got the metronome going, so now I'm just going to hit spacebar to start recording. Alright, so now you can see we got that little melody which popped up right here. And at first it may be a little scary because it looks tiny. It's like, whoa, this is super quiet. But boosting it is super easy. All you gotta do is come over here and just up the boost knob like that. And now it'll be louder. So let's take a little listen to what this sounds like. Just completely dry, no mixing, no effects, no cutting, nothing. Just straight guitar melody. So you can hear right away it's not the greatest sound. It's like a little staticky. You can hear it's a little offbeat. You can hear my fingers touching other strings that I'm not playing. And this is where trial and error comes in. Whenever you're recording an instrument into FL this way, it's going to take a lot of attempts to get the right one. If this was an actual legitimate song that I was trying to put together to completion, I would go back in and re-record this guitar melody numerous times, as many times as it takes to get it perfect, where there's none of those little minute flaws in it. However, for the sake of the video, I'm not going to do that. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to chop up this melody and just clean it up with some mixing the best I can, just to demonstrate how you would go about fixing a subpar recording. So the very first thing I want to do is I want to go in and chop this up and just realign everything and cut out all the static. So all these bits of dead space where there's no notes playing, I want these to be removed. And I want all the notes to be nudged over a little bit so that way they're aligned as perfectly as possible to the beats and the bar lines. So I'm going to press C to get my cut tool up, and I'm going to hold Alt so that way it can free cut. And I'm just going to cut out everything right here. Grab my brush tool and delete that. And now I'm just going to hold Alt as I nudge it over a little bit. And I'm just going to nudge it over so that way it's perfectly aligned with the start of the beat. And now I'm going to go through and I'm going to do that for the entire melody. Alright, so now I'm finished going through and chopping that up. You can see everything's much more aligned to the beat. So I'm just going to play this with the metronome now so you can see how it sounds. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to export it to a WAV file by going up here and clicking this button. And that's just that way it's all one consistent file and not a bunch of little chops all inside the playlist view. Alright, there we go. So I exported it to my samples folder and just dragged it in. And now you can see it's all one consistent melody, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want. And now I'm going to assign this to a mixer track. So the next available track I have is 14. So I'm going to double click it, go up here and just scroll up to 14. Just for organization purposes, I'm going to come in here, rename this, go over here to the channel rack, make sure it's highlighted, and hit Control L. That's going to make it so the mixer track is colored and named the exact same thing as the WAV file. Now I can start putting some effects on it. Alright, so all the effects are on the guitar now. I put on an EQ and I gave it a high pass just to get rid of some of that static at the top. Although it wasn't super necessary because this is a lo-fi beat, so it's supposed to sound vintage and vinyl. And I took out some of those unnecessary bass frequencies. Next, I just threw on a fruity reverb and a fruity delay. We have the panning set all the way out on ping pong mode, so that way it bounces back and forth between your headphones. And I threw on this plugin Vintage Chorus, which is like a chorus plugin, but just for lo-fi. It's pretty cool. I think it's free. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's free because most of my plugins are free. So I added a little bit of white noise to it actually, just to make it sound a little bit more old school. Then I threw it through this free reamping plugin called Boojax, and basically it takes any noise and puts it through a digital guitar amp. And the amp that I chose is this real low-key, like kind of lo-fi sounding guitar amp, not something super bright, has a very low tone to it. Then finally, I just have a fruity flanger, all default settings with the mix knob over here turned down to 75%. Alright, so everything's set up, the guitar is recorded in, and here's what it sounds like all together. So that is the entire video on how to record your guitar into FL Studio with an audio interface. I hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something. As I stated at the start of the video, there's going to be a part 2 to this where I talk about how to do it with an amp and a USB microphone, because there was a time where that's all I had too. But if you don't have an audio interface, you should definitely go cop one. This Behringer UM2 that I use, it's like $40 on Amazon. It's really not that much in the grand scheme of things, and it makes your guitar melodies sound a whole lot better. That's not an ad for Behringer, by the way. I'm just saying what I know, and I know it's cheap as hell and it works. So you might as well give it a try if you're still rocking the USB mic with the amp. Either way though, I'll catch you later. Hope you learned something. Leave a like if you like.